Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. While you're enjoying watching the show, you may be thinking, how are all these cool graphics that we just saw in that promo put together? Well, they're put together by people who get education, then get paid for putting together graphics. How often do you mess around at, class or whatever, drawing random things on your piece of paper or on your, I guess nowadays young kids with their iPads and touches and whatever. But you know what's awesome? You can get paid for that if you learn to do it very well. And a great way to get education in those type of things, fullsail.edu/MLG. So go ahead, go to that site. All you have to do is tell them what type of programs you're interested in. Maybe it's audio engineering. Maybe it's animation. Maybe it's just graphic design. Maybe it's video production. There's so many aspects of putting together parts of esports productions and producing video games themselves that are all really awesome to take part in. You can learn a little bit more about the skill sets needed to do so. So go ahead and check that out. But now let's jump into MC vs. Innovation. Game number 3. A couple things to talk about this game. Of course, this will be the last game of the series. It's tied up 1-1. This was a best-of-3 series. We're talking about Widow Mines on Daybreak. This is something I actually noticed that's interesting. There's a little cool trick about it. Then I talk about defending against Phoenix Harass, and then the 2-base, 5 barracks play, Terran versus Protoss. And that's a play that a lot of Terrans have been doing in Heart of the Swarm. Very late third, 5 barracks before third command center. Powering up a massive army of 2-base, and kind of the way to play that type of style. So, we're going to jump into this game here. We're going to start out at the 7-minute mark. I want to talk about mines on Daybreak. And what's interesting is, so normally, even without detection, especially on a map like Ohana or a map like Whirlwind, those type of textures on the background, it's actually it's not super hard to tell where Widow Mines are. You can notice the patch on the ground that looks a little different. But on Daybreak, check this out. Well, MC's going to do the Oracle harass because he likes Oracles. He doesn't, right? And notice when he gets into the natural, right? So we know where the Widow Mine is, right? We can see it here. But MC, it's kind of noticeable. You can see the patch there, right? It's a darker texture. It's a little bit different. But it's much less obvious on Daybreak than on other maps. And as he runs in here, right, especially if you put it right where workers will be mining, so the worker will be over top of it a lot of the time, it's very, very difficult to notice. Of course, MC unfortunately misses it until it's too late. Widow Mine pops up, kills the Oracle. If you kill the first Oracle on a harass, it's extremely, extremely, extremely effective. So, gonna fast forward just a little bit more, and then we're gonna get to another part where it's even less obvious. There's some really cool spots you can put Widow Mines. And this actually, some of the cool spots apply to every map, right? Some of the cool spots apply to every map. But on Daybreak, there's ones like a spot like here. Most maps that'll be very obvious, right? But we can see here, we know where it is, right? Does MC? We can't see, right? Look all vision, look at MC's vision. There's almost no, it's like almost impossible to see it. And it's because of the tile set of Daybreak really makes it much, much harder to notice those things, right? So that's kind of a cool little thing on Daybreak. Of course, it became visible there for a second because it was about to shoot off its missile until it got out of range. So it will become visible when it shoots missiles, it always does, or right before so. Other great spots to put it. You see this Widow Mine right here? Even on non-Daybreak, the odds of someone spawning this Widow Mine are very low because SCVs will be on top of it. So when you know your opponent's going to harass you, place Widow Mines in locations like this. It's very, 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 very useful because, of course, when they come in there, they're not going to notice it. It's going to pop up, take a Phoenix out, and it takes a lot of SCV kills to make a Phoenix harass worth it if they lose Phoenixes. If they can't really afford to lose the units because they're very expensive units. So going forward, Innovation knows MC is doing Phoenix harass, right? And one thing, if you've watched a lot of the MC games, like the old ones, him versus Puma from NASL, or even any of these new HOTS games, MC is a player who can Phoenix harass through a missile turret without losing a Phoenix. And he'll run in here when you have your missile turret. He'll kill an SCV that'll run the Phoenix when it's being focused. He'll keep killing SCVs and just keep retreating the Phoenixes that are being targeted by the missile turret, and then they regen shields, comes back again. He'll keep doing damage. But if you combine a Widow Mine and a missile turret, right? Widow Mine and a missile turret, he can't do that because, well, he can take a couple hits from a missile turret and walk away and regen shields. You cannot take a couple hits from Widow Mine. Widow Mine one-shots a Phoenix, which means the Phoenix is dead. So it can't regenerate shields because it doesn't have any shields left. It's just a little bit of bits on the ground at Daybreak. So going forward now, great defense of the Phoenix harass and Oracle play. But, I mean, it's not like the game's over, right? MC still has the Phoenixes can stop drop play. He's still progressing his way up to tech tree, getting charged, has an armory up, etc., getting a lot of gateways. What Innovation is doing here, if we notice this, he's getting 2 more barracks before a 3rd command center. Now, this is something that was popular in early on Wings of Liberty, near the end of Wings of Liberty. Pretty much 3 CCs were the way to go. But Heart of the Storm is getting popular again because of effectiveness of medevacs. You can spread your opponent more, and so more units early on is good. Maybe I'm still not convinced it's better than 3 CCs, but a lot of people like it now. And if you're one of those people, you want to do a little bit of aggressive 2-base play, you want to get in your opponent's face, you have a hard time dealing with storms in the late game, you want to end the games a little bit faster, you want to get the 5 barracks in. I mean, you still do get a 3rd CC, he'll probably build it pretty soon. But you get a lot of units first, right? Key things when you're playing this build. We actually just saw Marine King do this same build against Hero on Neoplanet S, and that'll be up on YouTube momentarily. That was the finals of the Winter Exhibition Tournament. Occurred literally just an hour ago, so it's an awesome build. I pointed out in my commentary. When you're doing this type of play, your goal, I mean, obviously you want to kill your opponent, but you may not always be able to outright kill your opponent, right? You can't just walk across the map and kill them. If you could, the game would be broken. If you're like, oh, I'll just walk across the map and kill them, and then it's game over, and I'll just keep doing this every game, and, you know, eventually I'll never lose. So the goal isn't, I mean, yes, you want to kill them, but the main goal here, it's okay if you don't kill them, but you want to get damage done. And getting damage done doesn't mean, oh, I have to kill the Nexus, I have to kill probes. It often means with just a bigger army, you get a cost-efficient engagement. There's a general rule that the more units you have, we'll fast forward this a bit, just a little bit of Phoenix trying to be annoying. There's a general rule, the more units you have, if you get into a battle, you'll be more cost-efficient. And let me just give you an obvious example of this, right? Let's say you have 2 Zealots fighting 2 Zealots. Most likely, like, one you'll win with 1 Zealot with, like, 1 life left over, right? Given equal micro. Or 1 Zealot versus 1 Zealot to kill each other. You know, whatever. It's going to be a cost-even engagement. Let's say you had 3 Zealots versus 2 Zealots. You wouldn't lose 2 of your 3 Zealots. They'd be lucky to even kill 1 of your Zealots. Because 3 Zealots would kill the other 2 before the other 2 could even do much damage. So, the more units you have in an engagement, you'll be even more cost-efficient. It's not just like, if you have 6 units instead of 4, you have 2 more units at the end of the battle. No, you actually have like 4 or 5 more units at the end of the battle, because you'll be so much more cost-efficient by having more firepower, right? If you're going to get into a fight, get the biggest stick you can have and whack them before they can whack you back, right? So the more units you have, the more cost-efficient you're going to be. So if you're doing a powering build, even if you can't kill your opponent, you want to try to get into an engagement, you'll be cost-efficient. As we can see here, look at MC's army, right? And look at Innovations. Innovations is significantly bigger. It may not be bigger enough to totally kill MC, especially when you consider Psystorm, but it's bigger enough that if these Zealots try to run in, it's not that the Zealots will lose the battle, right? I mean, yes, they will, but it's even more than that. It's they'll lose the battle by so much, the Innovation will lose very little bio, right? What's keeping MC alive is, of course, a Psystorm, which Innovation didn't really count that he would get it that fast going airplay, which is why maybe the 5 barracks wasn't the greatest idea. But as long as he can wear out the Psystorms and get to a point where there will be a major engagement, the Zealot count, if you look at unit tabs, right, it's 23 Zealots versus 29 Marines and 20 Marauders. The Terran Bioforce is so much bigger that the Zealots will be incredibly inefficient. I mean, even with charge, it doesn't matter, right? Look how fast the Zealots die, right? They're barely killing any bio. And yes, MC can stay alive with Storms, but the idea is that he's losing a lot of Zealots. But that was actually a really amazing Storm. Innovation is not losing that much bio, right? At least relative to the Zealot count, it's be more cost efficient. We saw previously Innovation was up by 10 food, now he's up by 30. And now look at the unit count, right? Now it's only 9 Zealots for still 14 Marauders and 21 Marines. So he lost roughly 1/4 of his bio for half the Zealot count. I mean, each lost more than that, but I'm including replacements, right? And the fact is MC's actually replacing units faster than Innovation. Why is that? Because he's on 1 billion warp gates, whereas Innovation's only on 5 barracks still, and he's trying to tech for Ghosts, and he was taking his 3rd base, all right? But he was able to trade so well, not because he has great production now, but because he got the 5 barracks very fast before the 3rd, built up a good army in the mid-game, and then got a cost-efficient engagement. So that going forward in the game, he's going to have the massive food advantage, right? So that's the philosophy of this opening, right? The philosophy is trade well, even though your expansion is much slower than it could be ideally. You're getting cost-efficient trades to make up for it. And then going forward, we can see here Innovation just has, I mean, he's up by like 50 food at this point. And he has the Ghost, so he can deal with the Storms. You know, defensive Storms keep the Ghost back, but ghosts are happy to stay back as long as, you know, the ghosts don't need to land great EMPs, right? They just need to make sure that there's no amazing storms, and then the Protoss army is going to be destroyed by superior numerical value. And then, you know, he's being a little cautious about the potential storms there, and rightly so, there's some good storms. But the bar army is too big. MC's going to go overrun here. We can see here, one Archon is down. He's forcing it back a bit with storms, but even with the great storms here, it's too much because the army size is too big, right? Able to kind of keep even with the food a little bit, but not quite enough. And one of the important things to realize there, MC out-microed innovation. He had a series of amazing storms, right? And normally, if you're at even food, right? You guys are probably, this game's over, we'll stop it there. If you're at even food, right? You've all seen this on streams. If you're a Terran player, you've witnessed this in the game. If you're roughly same armies, your opponent lands some massive storms, your army gets slaughtered, right? Because your guys, even if you move out of the way, they're all red, the Zealots come in and slice them in two, you're all gone. In this situation, we saw because Innovation had such a bigger army supply, even if there's great storms landed, there's not enough, the damage output for the basic units is too high that the Zealots can't get in there and do the damage because they die too fast. So that's how those trades can kind of work. Now, the important thing here, the really important thing about this game is to realize, is to think about the philosophy and the theory behind a 5 barracks 2 base opening. And one thing to understand is, let's say you trade a little bit cost efficiently. That doesn't mean it's the best opening, because you have to compare it. Okay, you gained X resource advantage by trading cost efficiently, right? But you could have taken a very fast third. And as long as you have Medivacs, it's very scary for a Protoss to take a fast third. It's very rare in Heart of the Swarm. So the alternative is, yes, you can have an X resource advantage by trading cost efficiently, or you could have a Y resource advantage by mining more than your opponent from taking a much faster third base in them, right? And what you have to do is you have to play multiple games, try out each build, say, okay, if I take the fast third and I mine more, how much am I ahead of my opponent that way in resources? If I try to get a cost-efficient engagement, first, am I able to do so? Then if I am, how much am I able to get ahead via that method? And then you can go on your own and say, okay, well, I seem to do better by pressuring off 2 bases. So maybe it's because my micro is better in the mid-game engagements and I can do well there, but maybe my 3 base macro isn't so good. Or maybe even if I get ahead on 3 base macro, I can't control the late engagements very well. Or you could be saying, you know what, when I try to do the 2 base pressure, they just have too much stuff. And maybe that's because your 2 base macro isn't quite as good, but if you stalled a 3 base tuner food engagement, you could get some really great EMPs a la Thorazane and just win those battles convincingly. So everyone has a style that works best for them. If you're going to choose this style, it is a good style. You know, practice it and know that you don't have to kill your opponent, but you do want to get a cost-efficient trade. Anyways, that wraps up analysis on game number 3 between MC and Innovation. Of course, Innovation did win this game, winning series 2-1. We'll take a short break and be on to the Q&A.